Outbound sales strategies, right? This is often, we talked a little bit about this the other day. But one of the things is we go into kind of outbound motions, right? So this is people, we're going to talk about interruption marketing and interruption sales here for a minute, right? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get into using our networks, using people we know, or outbound efforts to go and do it. One of the low-hanging fruits is your personal network and connections, right? When I first started at CMO 5 years ago, I totally did that. I was that person, just said, hey, this is spammy, but guess what? I went and started my company. And guess what? Within 2 weeks, I had enough business that replaced my salary, right? And it was all based on my own personal network. And it was based on this, right? So leveraging our personal networks, both on, Facebook, Google, wherever the social network is, sending out text messages, is a viable outbound strategy. And it works at the beginning of a company. Obviously, at some point you tap out of that, right? But it is a strategy on going outbound. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a great place to start with this too. So what you can do in Sales Navigator, you can get hyper-targeted on the types of companies that you want to work. Now, this works in a B2B strategy. If you're business to consumer, it still can work, but it's different, right? And so the approach is different. LinkedIn is typically more on the business to business side. But, here's, but I guess, I say it on the consumer side, if you do a location-based strategy, guess what? Like, let's think like solar, for example. If you're a solar company, guess what? All these business owners and people, guess what? They own homes too, right? They're also homeowners. So if there was an approach and you had a strategy that could reach out to them in a non-weird way using LinkedIn, you could, right? If that's where your audience hung out, right? This is what you can do. So on Sales Navigator, it's a nice way to create a targeted list. And you can leverage it to make new connections, right? So you can send out and you can take that list and you can say, hey, I want to connect with this person. You could send a strategy. We use this internally to do lunch appointments, right? So it's a way of us doing outreach, and it's an interruption strategy. We're going outbound. Hey, can I take you to lunch? Hey, do you want to come to this event? Whatever it is, right? There's also ways to automate that outreach. So there's tools like Linked Helper, Copilot, Salesflow, and you guys have maybe been victims of some of this, right? I recently joined a networking group called Connect Share. Guess what? They were using LinkedIn automation to outreach to business owners to invite them to this event. It worked on me, right? So you can use the automation if you can get really targeted, and you can build kind of this step-by-step approach. Now you got to be careful. LinkedIn might catch on and ban you, and there's risks that come with that. But it is a viable tactic and a viable strategy in building relationships, right? You can also use tools like Scrap to scrape leads and emails from LinkedIn. So it'll go through that list and it'll try to find the right email. And there's a few tools that will do this, and they'll try to find the right email, and then you can use email marketing against that list. You can also go and buy lists, right? So you can create outbound contact lists. There's tools like Zoom Info or Seamless AI, Data Axle used to be Info USA, Uber Leads. There's a bunch of these data providers and brokers. And what you can do is you can create these lists, right? In an outbound motion, this is really important because you want to try to get your targeted audience in a list and then try to approach them. So you can approach them on LinkedIn, you can approach them through email, through text, or calls, or whatever the right method is. But creating that list is a key part of that strategy. On an outbound motion, you can send cold emails. You can use tools like Gmass that will just let you do it from your Gmail, or you could write a script and use Google, right from your Google Sheet and just have it auto send it. You can also use more sophisticated tools like an Outreach or a Salesloft or HubSpot or some other tools that allow for that outbound motion to go out into the market.